seen a magic show? Picture the classic guy with the black top hat, the magic wand, and the big white rabbit. Or maybe the more modern Dave Franco and the other four horsemen. Each one always ends up doing their signature magician move. And I'm talking about the vanishing act. With the famous line, "Now you see me, now you don't." Now, what is the magician trying to do in that moment? They're trying to manipulate your attention, manipulate what you are looking at, and what you are not looking at is what makes you fall for the trick or the whole illusion. The whole point is to make you focus on something and miss the rest. This is what a magician calls misdirection. It's their most important way of distracting your mind with something that ultimately doesn't matter. This is the trick. Everything about the magician act is totally dependent on what you pay attention to. Because your attention is focused one way, you miss everything else that's going on. You won't understand the trick until you understand the thing that you haven't been paying attention to. The thing that's unseen and unnoticed. What you see and what you think and where you put your attention dictates whether you're living in the illusion or not. The thing is, I don't think this is just a magic show thing. I kind of think we actually live our lives this way too. There's a lot of things that we are unaware of simply because we're not paying attention. It's not until you fix your attention you get to see the world and the things that go on in it for what it really is. And these issues that we don't pay attention to are gonna be the things that you and I, right now, it's gonna frame our conversation that we're gonna have together. Does anyone have a desire to see the world? Well, my name's Alicia Chinchilla, and I've had the opportunity to travel to 55 countries and counting. I love our planet, our world, so much beauty, so many incredible, interesting countries with different traditions and landscapes and buildings and monuments and food and the people. And although there is so much we can learn and appreciate about our planet, let's be real for a minute. Our world is a bit of a mess. It doesn't take long for us to realize it. Pull out your phone right now, look at Google, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, watch the news. There is so much going wrong with the world today. There are environmental issues, human rights, poverty, racism, and the list goes on and on. And don't get me wrong, I love our world. I'll never forget the first time I went to Thailand. Such an incredible place. I was in awe. The beaches, the shopping, and the food. Oh, I love me some mango sticky rice. You gotta try it. But then one night I noticed how things shifted. Certain things got rough, certain districts got rough. There was a lot of shady things going on behind closed doors, crazy amounts of corruption that I was even invited to participate in. But I chose to ignore it. I made the decision to not pay attention to it. But just because I wasn't paying attention to it didn't mean that horrible things weren't happening. And yet the things that we do pay attention to are kind of weird. Think about it. How often does our lives revolve around the things that in 6 months we won't even remember or think about and we'll just completely forget? An exam, a horrible haircut, the newest Taylor Swift album. Which one are we even on now? An assignment, a fight with a boyfriend, girlfriend, friend, an embarrassing moment. We spend so much time thinking about these things and in 6 months, we won't even remember what it was or what happened. Remember how big Pokemon Go was a couple years ago? The whole world was involved in it, and honestly, I've already forgotten about it. And this is just like the magic show. We often pay attention to things that honestly don't matter that much, only to miss out on the things that are actually kind of important. What I'm trying to do through these next 3 episodes is to get us to see the things that are unseen. We need to learn to look beyond ourselves and our immediate surroundings to the issues in our world that are affecting real human beings. We need to learn to see the unseen people. Valuing every person means that we actually value every person, including the ones that aren't in front of us, that we can't and don't see. The things in our lives, like our phones or getting your license, those aren't bad things. They're awesome. And it's not bad that we care about them either. It's not a matter of going to the extreme and changing everything about your life because you watched a documentary on minimalism on Netflix and now you're selling everything and moving into a mini trailer. No, it's about learning to see beyond our things and look at the lives of the people that are neglected, forgotten, and unseen. What you and I need is a perspective shift, a change to the way that we see the problem. It's moving from a close-up shot to a 360 panorama view. how do we do this? How do we broaden and deepen our perspective to see the unseen people that need us to notice them, that need us to value them? There's also the opposite question, which is, how is it that we miss out on so many things that are right in front of us? Have you ever heard the saying, ignorance is bliss? Well, no, it's not. Ignorance is not a gain. To ignore is to live in a world that isn't real. What we're going to be talking about in these episodes are some of the big issues and the people involved and that we are ignorant of. And to be sure, most of the time, it's not like we're trying to ignore things. If my friend's family is going through a hard time and I don't know about it, I'm ignorant. But not because I don't want to know or don't care, but because she never told me. Of course, though, there are times we'd prefer to be ignorant and just ignore it because it might be easier that way. Maybe I know a kid at my school who's never really invited to things, but I don't get to know him because then I have to care and probably have to invite him to my party, when honestly, it's just easier and less awkward if he just doesn't come. But at the end of the day, it's not about whether we are intentionally ignorant or not. It's about what we do next. How we see people affects how we treat people. And this starts by paying attention. In these next few videos, I'm going to talk to you about 3 things that are really close to my heart. They've made a huge impact on my own life, which we can all pay more attention to. Homelessness, human trafficking, and fast fashion. These are big topics, guys, but they're really important ones. Homelessness because I was 16 when I first found out that my cousin was living on the streets. I remember watching him battle mental health, abuse drugs, alcohol, and steal from us. He had just lost his father, my uncle, and he was struggling really bad. My heart broke when I realized how many other people's family members are living out on the streets struggling just like mine. I want to talk about human trafficking because years ago I learned about a movement called Dressember. They shared with me that people around the world are being bought, sold, used, and discarded. As a part of this movement, which I've taken part of, we choose to wear a dress every single day for the whole month of December to raise money and awareness for those caught in human trafficking, those around the world who don't have the freedom or the choice of what to wear. My heart broke when I heard the stats of women and children caught in this awful slavery. And I've been participating in fundraising for this cause ever since. But yet, this problem seems to keep getting worse. And lastly, I want to talk about fast fashion. Because until very recently, I didn't realize the extent of the amount of clothes I have. It's embarrassing. I honestly don't even want to tell you how many clothes I have, and yet I barely wear half of them. I don't always take the best care of them. Half the time they're sitting at the bottom of my dirty laundry basket, just taking up dust, and yet I always just seem to want more. I've always loved to thrift, only because I think it's a fun and a thrill, because you never know what you're gonna get, you never know what you're gonna find, but I never fully considered how thrifting could actually make an impact on the world. And I want us to talk about these issues to help us become aware of them. By becoming aware of them, hopefully we can understand these issues better so we know how to address them. The best way to start solving a problem is seeing that there actually is one. Too many people are unseen. Much like the magician trick, we miss them because we're not looking, even if they're in plain sight. Sometimes this is simple ignorance, other times it's because we don't want to. And in some cases, because these people are being hidden from us. Have you ever noticed that when a country hosts the Olympics or the FIFA World Cup, poor and homeless people just seem to be shuffled around so that the cities can show off their best sides? In every case, people are missed. That's the issue with homelessness, human trafficking, and fast fashion. We get distracted by the flashy pair of pants without ever thinking about the conditions of where it was made or who made it. We love to drink coffee, but we don't understand that what we're drinking might have been made in the hands of someone who was forced to work. So much of our everyday lives is built on what we eat, what we do, what we wear, what we look like, what we look at, what we click on, when all of it is created by and affects other people. It's time we started paying attention to them. And I say pay attention intentionally here. There's something really cool about that phrase. We say it because when we pay attention to someone, we are giving them something that they are owed, which is that they are seen and loved, and every person deserves to be valued. And the first way we can express this is by caring for others. In a world that revolves so much around us, I want us to stop. Let's take this moment, gain new perspective, and learn ways that we can respond in our own particular situations so that every person, especially the unseen ones, are able to say, "Now you see me."